heart sway. Every dream feels like a lie without her by our side. We sing Priscilla Lozuaway. In the beats our hearts sway. Every dream feels like a lie without her by our side. Her spirit dances in the rain. In the beats our hearts sway. In the beats our hearts sway. Every dream feels like a lie without her by our side. Every dream feels like a lie without her by our side. Her spirit dances in the rain.
I'm Tessa and this is Jessica, and we're here with the father of Priscilla Louzaway. Could you go ahead and tell us a little bit about Priscilla?
Sure. Priscilla's is just a normal, happy going 2-year-old. Last time had actually got to have her at my house and had her at home. Happy, fun loving, exciting, loved Coco Melon, loved Thomas the Train Engine, different things like that. She's a big Minnie Mouse fan. So that's Priscilla. Like to
What?
be outside and
Oh no,
go
you're
ahead.
good. You're good. You're good. You can keep going.
Oh, that's okay.
All right. What happened to her?
So after a visit on 2/22/2022, her mother stopped bringing her to visit and stopped communicating. It took about a year and a half to go through the court process to finalize the divorce of the parenting plans. The courts were trying to get, since it had been such a long time, to reintroduce me back into her life, to set up some counseling to build that relationship back up. We ended up having one counseling session, which was the June 1st, what is listed as her official missing date of, I think, June 1st or early June of 2023. And then after that, Elizabeth stopped communicating at all. There was an emergency hearing, and she refused to go back to any future counseling sessions. There was an emergency order to try to get Priscilla removed from the home. The judge allowed her to stay in the home. And then after that, there was about a 2 to 3 month period that passed for me to be able to get back into court to actually get the orders needed. Elizabeth wouldn't show up to court, and then it took until October 25th to actually get the felony warrant to report her as missing and actually officially get her listed as missing.
Okay. Did you all have joint custody?
Yep, her entire life we had joint custody.
Okay. Up until 2022, where she kept her away.
Even at that time period, up until I was able to, all the way up until January of this year, we had joint custody.
Okay. Do you have full custody now?
I do have sole legal and sole physical custody at this point.
Okay.
How was your co-parenting relationship with her prior to her going missing?
It was not good. It seemed like every visit, whenever I returned Priscilla, there was always some sort of accusation, some sort of complaint. And we found out right after she stopped bringing her that we were still in the middle of the divorce proceedings, and Elizabeth had went ahead and got remarried. So February of 2022, she stopped bringing Priscilla altogether. And then April 1st, she got married to Devin. And then our divorce wasn't finalized till November 15th of 2023.
Okay.
Now, all this happened in Missouri.
2022, I believe. That's right. Yep, all of that was in Missouri, correct.
All right.
And it is believed that she has traveled to the state of Michigan. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Do you know when she would have left Michigan? Or
So,
not Missouri, I'm sorry.
No, I understand. We're not sure if she left kind of in that June time period and maybe went up with family. So what happened? The reason that we're targeting and we think that Michigan is a good possibility of where she's located is because whenever Elizabeth left me, she uh, prior to getting married to me, Elizabeth had always lived with her parents on their family farm. Her parents have adopted 15 other kids, and she moved back in with her parents with Priscilla on that family farm. And then once she got married to me, she had moved out, and then we were in the process of having Priscilla whenever she left me. And then once she left, she moved back on the farm. And even whenever she got married to this new person, Devin Askew, uh, Devin moved onto the farm as well and was living with the parents and the adopted family members. So, and then April, I would say they do have, so Steve Christoffel, the grandpa, Elizabeth's dad, used to live here in Michigan, and they were originally from the Battle Creek and Kalamazoo areas. And so it's possible that for a time period they may have moved up and went up with family up here in Michigan. And then around the April, May time period of this year, the Constant Faith Christoffel, which is Elizabeth's mom, and then Stephen Robert Christoffel goes by Steve, they moved up to Harrison, Michigan. And so with that history of her living with her parents and being so close with her parents and not really venturing far from her parents, that's why we're really targeting Michigan and thinking either they're on that property or they're close by somewhere, close to the mom and dad.
Has there
Or the
been any
grand.
sightings of them up there?
There's several Facebook groups up there for Houghton Lake, Harrison, Mount Pleasant, even in Alma, and each one of those have came back with some results of people saying that they've reported seeing them out. Some of them saying that they thought they were panhandling. Some of them thought they were seeing them in Walmart, different locations, mostly the Walmart, Sam's, the main retail stores. So that's why we're targeting kind of that area.
Did they ever see Priscilla with them or just them?
There was one instance where somebody had thought that they had seen Priscilla with the grandparents. And they said that the report was that they thought that they had saw Faith Christoffel and then several of the adopted boys and girls, along with a little girl in pink or bright, sparkly cowboy boots.
Do you know if that was ever reported?
Any of those reports that I had seen, anything that came off of Facebook, anything, any lead, no matter how big or how small, I always tried to pass it on to our local Macon County Sheriff's Office because they're the ones heading off this investigation. So was always passing that information on so that they could contact and reach out to the local authorities in that area, as well as the federal agencies that are involved in the disappearance and the relocation of Priscilla.
Now, the foster children, is it your ex-wife's foster children or her parents' foster children?
Well, Elizabeth's my ex-wife, and so it's her parents, Faith and Steve, that have the foster children.
Okay.
Well, they're not foster. They started out by fostering them, and then they've adopted them all.
Okay.
So now legally they're their kids.
Okay.
And to your knowledge, do they still have a home in Missouri, or did they sell that and move to Michigan?
To my knowledge, they sold the whole property and then moved up, relocated. So I don't think that they own any property in Missouri anymore.
Has the parents of Elizabeth, to your knowledge, ever been interviewed?
To my knowledge, no. I'm not aware if they have or not. I know, well, I mean, we've tried to get them in court. So Constant Faith Christoffel, she goes by Faith, that's Elizabeth's mom. We had her in court. We had the new husband, Devin Askew's dad, which is Tony Askew in court, and then Devin's brother's wife, Ann Askew, was also in court, and all three pled the fifth and refused to answer any questions and refused to answer any questions regarding the whereabouts of Priscilla. And to my knowledge, what I've been told, anytime law enforcement or federal agents have went out to ask or question anything about the whereabouts of Priscilla, they've always pled the fifth or refused to speak. That's what I've heard.
Okay. Now, there is a felony warrant on both Elizabeth and Devin Askew. Is that correct?
That's correct. They both have felony abduction warrants out of the state of Missouri.
Does anyone else in the family have any type of warrant that you know of?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Not at this time.
No, the last that you knew, Elizabeth had a Prius that she was traveling in. Do you know if that vehicle was ever found?
I believe the vehicle has been found and is under investigation on how that vehicle was found, but it's not believed like any foul play or anything with Elizabeth. There's suspicious circumstances with that Prius, but no arrest, nothing with that so far. But as far as that vehicle being subject of interest, it's no longer an interest to law enforcement at this time.
Is there any other vehicle that are that they could possibly use or of interest?
At this time, we aren't aware of what they could be driving. We think the grandparents are in possibly a white van now. They did have a black van, possibly a white van. They may still have the black van. Maybe a gray Jeep. We're not sure if it's a Cherokee, what kind of a vehicle that is. They used to have a red Trailblazer, and then there used to be a black Ford F-250 truck. But those were all the grandparents' vehicles, so it could be possible that they're using those vehicles. It could be possible that somebody else in the family is providing the vehicle and transportation for them, or they're riding with somebody else. So it's hard to pinpoint like a specific vehicle, make and model that we know that may actually just be registered in their name that they may be specifically driving.
Okay. Now, you said Elizabeth had the Prius. Did Devin have a vehicle at that time, or that you know of?
I think he had a white truck. I'm not sure what the brand or model was, but
Okay.
as far as any other vehicles that he had or license plates or anything like that, I'm not aware.
Okay.
Have you met her new husband at all? Besides court?
I did at a doctor's appointment in January of 2023. I showed up for a specialist appointment with Priscilla, and he ended up being there.
Now, with you said you saw her early June, and then she missed several court appearances, and it took all the way to October to report her missing. Is that correct?
To get the actual official filing as a missing person.
How many court proceedings did she not show up for?
I want to say 3. There was an initial one, I want to say in September, and then they gave her, maybe it was just 2. There was one in September, then they gave her another 2 weeks to try to get her served again, giving her another opportunity to show back up into court, and then she didn't show up again. And I can't remember without looking at the docket entry whether there was a third one or not. And then it took some time to go through the paperwork, go through the sheriff's office to file the report, and then to actually get the prosecutor to actually issue those warrants. And part of the delays in my case, I kept hearing that the delays were due to it being a custody dispute and a custody matter. Had it not been with a custody dispute, then it would have been kidnapping charges that probably would have been acted on a lot quicker. But since there was there was a parenting plan in like that year and a half or so that she wasn't bringing Priscilla and providing her for her visit. The police were saying they couldn't do anything because it was a custody matter. It all had to be handled through court.
Right. And at what I did read that her lawyer dismissed himself from the case. At what point did he do that?
That was around the same time that we had those proceedings. I believe it was September, and she had requested the additional 2 weeks. So Priscilla or Elizabeth got that additional 2 weeks to respond, and actually she had that second chance to actually come up into court, and then she never showed up.
I think.
Okay.
You want to?
Yeah, that's fine. You recently have traveled to Michigan in your dedication to find Priscilla, correct?
That's correct. So far we made a total of 3 trips to Michigan so far, and then this week we'd left on Saturday, and we're up there all the way up through today, and are currently on the way back home today. But the goal was to just follow up on some of these leads that we've received through Facebook, through pages like yours, some of the local community pages where people are saying that they think that they've seen Elizabeth and Devin, or possibly Priscilla. And so the goal for this trip was just to go up there, see if we could run across them. I mean, it's such a small possibility, but as dad, for me and for my sake, just having that peace of mind that I'm trying everything that I can to bring my little girl back. So that was the goal, is just to see if we could run into anybody. And then the plan was, if we ran into Elizabeth, Devin, or Priscilla, to call 911 and get law enforcement, because law enforcement is really the ones that are, they're the only ones that really can handle this situation, and then bring in the proper paperwork just to show that I have the sole custody, and that she should be going home back to Missouri with me, should we have found her.
When was the last official sighting of Priscilla? Or so when was the last sighting that you have of Priscilla that was not by public but by like the court system or the police department?
The actual official one would probably be that early June time frame, whenever we saw that counselor. So
Okay.
that counselor would have been the last official time that we had seen anybody that was connected with the courts or law enforcement.
Okay.
With your trip to Michigan, did you have any tips or anything that you followed?
No, we're just kind of going blind. We just trying to focus on pretty much the Walmart. We knew another organization similar to you all that's helping people is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and they've got those posters at the Walmart. They've just recently had started putting Priscilla out there in Michigan and Missouri. Their posters were going up, and there was one Walmart, the Houghton Lake one, which has been a big hot spot for the family going to. They hadn't had theirs yet up, and I went and talked to them, and then they got it up a day or so later, or that next day actually. So that was something new. But as far as like a real good lead, it was just kind of a shot in the dark, just going in blind, talking to some of the local law enforcement. I stopped in with Clare County Sheriff's Office. I stopped in with Isabella County, which is in the Mount Pleasant area, and I think they might be tied with Alma. And so just trying to reach out to these people that I've had contact with, but put a face to the name, so it's just not over a cell phone call that I'm actually here. I'm actually looking for my daughter, trying to be in the area, trying to talk to a few gas stations, local businesses. Also went to their, I don't remember what they call it, like their social services, to see if there was any benefits that had been enrolled into, and then their local health department, to just trying to get any information that I could get. That's still ongoing. I haven't really got any good information yet. They were having to check with people to see about releasing information for me. And then the health department said that they couldn't. I'd have to get some sort of a subpoena. So.
Now, the adopted children, are any of them school aged to where they would be attending school? And do you know if they attend public school or homeschooled?
So there are some that are under 18. Several, I would say probably most are over the age of 18, but there's probably 5, 6, maybe 4, 5, or 6 that are school aged. With those, Faith Christoffel is their teacher. So everything that they have, it's all homeschooled. They're not allowed to do external activities outside of anything that Faith allows them. So it's all, they're pretty well sheltered and kept at home, and everything is through homeschool.
How many over the age of 18 are living there?
So over the age of 18, so out of the 15, I think 4 have left. That brings it down to 11. And then I think there's at least 3, probably 4. Let's say if there's 4, then maybe 7 of them that are over the age of 18.
That still live
living in.
there?
Yep.
I'm jumping on the mic here. So basically, he's stating that there are 7 people in this house that are over the age of 18. Is that 7, including the adults, the 2 adults that are the not the grandparents?
No, it's not including the.
So
the
that would make
grandparents.
it 9 people that are over the age of 18 that are living in this house. And under Michigan state law, harboring a fugitive with felony warrants is a crime. So that would mean that if they are harboring a fugitive, all 9 of them can be sent to court and held under Michigan state law and prosecuted. I just want to put that out there. All right.
Absolutely.
That's good information. Great information.
It is. Now, does Elizabeth or Devin work that you know of?
So Elizabeth never worked. She was always living in the home. And then Devin, I don't know too much about him, but just from like what we found and what we've seen on Facebook, it looks like maybe he was a local handyman, local carpenter, or lawn care person. Maybe had his own computer repair business. I know that it was getting sold at one point. So, and then I think the time that I met him, he was working for the Walmart distribution center. But as far as like solid long-term employment, I don't know anything like that.
With the felony warrants, he's probably working under the table if he's a handyman, so.
Right.
Absolutely. And then one thing to add with the family, Steve and his family, Steve Christoffel, Priscilla's grandpa, Elizabeth's dad, his family was ex-Mennonite, so they were Mennonites for a while, and then I think they had just kind of went out of that, so there is that background as well. So it could be possible that they've tried Elizabeth and Devin have maybe tried to enter into the Mennonite community, possibly the Amish community. We're not sure.
Now, do you know if there was ever a subpoena for her like cell phone where it would ping, or her bank records?
I believe all of that's been done through Macon County and through the federal agencies that have been looking into those records just to see if there is any sort of record. I know at one point one of the local officers had went out, and I believe it was Tony or Faith, one of the 2 grandparents, and they had said that they had went on, their story was anyway, that they'd went on vacation, they ditched all their cell phones and were I believe it was Tony in the police report that said that communication was delayed by 2 to 3 days, which to me leads me to think that it's through mail or at that time. And I believe that was right. That was before that warrants were even issued. That was when law enforcement was just initially trying to locate them and contact them.
Okay, so they ditched their phone while on vacation? Is that what you said?
That's the story from
Okay.
parents.
So
I
other
believe
than
that
that,
was from acid.
there's no other pings or records.
Not that I'm aware of. It could be that law enforcement has that information, but I'm just not aware of that.
Okay. Do you have any more questions, Jessica?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
All right. What would you like the community to help you do in the search for Priscilla?
Well, what you all have been doing is it's been absolutely fantastic. So anytime that you see Priscilla out and about, or Devin or Elizabeth, or you even think that you see them, the first thing would be to contact law enforcement. And also a really big thing, maybe right before you contact law enforcement, would be to try to snap a picture. That's one hard thing that we have, that we get a lot of responses of people that they think that they've seen Elizabeth or Devin out and about, or possibly Priscilla, but then we don't have that picture or any video or anything to kind of base it off of. So, because it could be if you take a picture and we get it, you contact law enforcement and they're investigating, and maybe you send it through Facebook and they can get it over to me. I could verify quickly and say, no, that's not them, or that's them. You need to get there right away, or you need to detain them. So that would be huge, is just getting some sort of picture or video evidence real quick, or if it's a store, kind of noting what time it is, so that maybe they got away, but you can go back and say you're in a Walmart or Dollar General or somewhere that has good surveillance, that you can say I was there between 2 and 3 o'clock, or 2 and 2:30, and so they can go back, and law enforcement can go back with management and check that footage. That's the biggest thing. You all have been doing an amazing job. I really appreciate all the hard work that you guys do, and putting those posters out there. And I appreciate the posters that you all put out there of that when people are found, it helps parents like me, showing there's hope out there. These kids are being found. These adults, people of all ages that go missing, they do get found, and I love seeing that they are located. And then the communities, the people that are responding on Facebook, that keep pouring out, and I know it's kind of stressful, and we like to kind of stay in our own lane, and kind of don't like to get involved, but by you all getting involved, you guys are providing amazing leads, and especially that community up there. Missouri has been great, but really that community up there in Michigan, they have just been absolutely amazing in keeping out for little Priscilla and trying to get her home. So the public has been huge in all of this, and we just really appreciate everything that you've done. And law enforcement, don't be afraid to contact law enforcement. Law enforcement's there to help. They've been amazing in talking to them, and they're caring. They're trying to go through and respond to every lead that they get to try to check it out, because none of us really know what lead is going to be the lead that brings her home. And so everybody's just been amazing up there. And I've been working with an amazing group of people, like Clandestine Investigative Authority. They've been amazing, just getting out there, helping me out, doing some research, doing some on the ground research, and helping me out there. So there's lots of people out there in Michigan that are doing an amazing job to help people like us, and help Priscilla. The main person is helping Priscilla and helping bring her home. So thank you all for everything you all are doing.
Thank you.
I want to emphasize that the time frame that it took for you to get a missing person report done and out there for Priscilla, just because that was a custody thing is really important and really needs to be focused on because so much can happen in that time frame. And that obviously happened in this case as well as it went different states in that time frame. So you went from Missouri to Michigan, and before she could even be reported missing. And it's not always that, you know, when a parent has the other parent has the child, they're not always safe, and that doesn't sit well with the other parent who's there worried and wondering where their child is.
You do bring up a good point, and one thing that I think it's good to bring out, and maybe if there's, hopefully there's somebody out there that's a legislator or somebody that works with the legislators and maybe could help people. But a thing that was hard for me was whenever I knew she wasn't there, we weren't getting the communication. I was worried about her. Police didn't find her. Since we were involved in a custody case, it disqualifies it from an Amber Alert. So that's not even an option at that point. And that was a good question the community continually asked up there in Missouri. They're like, why hasn't there been an Amber Alert? Why am I hearing about it in Facebook and not through my phone that this little girl's been missing? But with Missouri laws, and I think the Amber Alert is a national service and they've got national guidelines. But one negative thing with that is that if it's involved with anything with a custody dispute and you've actually got a parenting plan or you're going through something with custody, then I believe that automatically disqualifies that from the Amber Alert. So that quick response that could have probably brought her home, could have delayed us the last year of searching, trying to chase people down, trying to figure out where people are located, even next places to be, that could have been eliminated if maybe that resource was there and we could have acted a lot quicker.
Right. Now, do you have anything else you want to say before we close up?
Maybe something for those parents that are going through stuff. Me, I trust in Jesus. That's my way of dealing with it. I've got a good family support system. I think probably a good thing to do is have a good attitude, have that positive attitude that we are going to find our loved ones, we are going to find our missing kids, and with your organization, it's great because it's not focused on kids, it's anybody. So if your loved one's missing, don't give up hope and just keep trusting and keep trusting law enforcement, keep trusting the community. Don't give up. Some of these, it's rough seeing it. There's been 2 or 3 years, but don't give up. Just keep fighting to try to find your loved ones.
Now, if Priscilla is watching this, is there anything that you would like to tell her?
I love you, Priscilla, and I miss you so much. And I can't wait till I get to see you and we have so much fun. I love you so much.
Thank you. Now, remember, if you happen to, or even if you think you see Elizabeth, Devin, or Priscilla, take a quick picture, call 911, and I lost my train of thought.
Report it. If you see something, say
Yes.
something for sure.
Thank you.